Welcome again to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. As you'll notice, the last 2 or 3 weeks we've been trying to bring you special shows. We're bringing you one this week that is sponsored by Geico, but we're doing it at the Easter Sales headquarters in Silver Spring, Maryland. We have a good show for you. Come back and watch it.
I'm at this wing joint telling people that Geico's been offering savings for over 75 years. That's longer than the Buffalo Wing's been around.
Dozen wings.
And did you know that Geico offers motorcycle insurance? Oh, my lips are burning. No, my lips are actually burning.
Geico. Over 75 years of savings and service. See how much you could save at geico.com.
It's too hot. This is too hot, mate.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus 6th Annual Hire a Veteran Challenge was immensely successful again this year. Tony McGee, Gary Clark, John Booty, Dexter Manley, and Fred Smoot all came out to thank not only our veterans, but the participating businesses that are giving veterans employment opportunities each and every day. This year, the businesses included Cornerstone Montgomery, SOS International LLC, Capital AI Solutions, Calibri Systems, Lockheed Martin, E&M Technologies, and Mainline Securities. These companies deserve a special thank you for all they do in hiring the men and women who sacrifice so much in the defense of our nation.
Welcome back to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. As I told you, we have a special show here. We're in Silver Springs, Maryland at Easter Seals headquarters. As I told you, this is bought by Geico, but we're going to talk a lot of crap for ourselves. We look at the way the Washington Redskins season went, and we did not like it. We're not going to talk injuries. So what did I do? I go get a pound that was really important when they played, and if they were there now, they'd be in the playoffs. So let's start with wide receiver. This year, Washington Redskins wide receiver, they never had one to stand up. We got a stand-up guy here, 699 catcher. He'll be in the Hall of Fame real soon. Give it up for Gary Clark. When you talk about cornerback, you talk about people that cover, and they have to have a short memory. They have to be people that are very attuned to everything that's happening. We had that with this young man. Not only did he tackle and cover, he was one of the best speakers on the team. We got him now because he's a superstar out here. You welcome in Fred Smooth. Give it up! Smooth. Now, when they brought me here, they had a young, little wild defensive end, 6'4", and ran a 4.5 40 and bench pressed 500 pounds. Couldn't nobody control him. They bought me here. He led the league in sacks for a year, 19, I think, and a half that year. Defensive Player of the Year, but he's still a puppy to me. You talking about Mr. D, Dexter Manley. Last but not least, we knew that you're looking at Philadelphia and Dallas is still in the playoffs. So what do we want to do? We want to get some information why they're still in. And we really want to find out about Philadelphia because it looked like they may do well. So what did? We brought in one of their ex-stars. He's on our team now, but we talking about Mr. John Booty, one of the best defensive backs to ever play for Philadelphia. John Booty! What's happening, man?
How you doing? Thank
Welcome
you for having
to
me
the
on the
show.
show.
These guys been here before, man.
Yeah.
Tell me, first of all, what do you think about the Redskins season?
Well, it's kind of a tough season for those guys. They started out strong, it was a promising team. And all of a sudden the injuries happened. I know you said you weren't going to talk injuries, but that happened, and some leadership kind of fell off there a little bit.
I feel that. Now, let's start with you, G. Wide receivers, and someone was saying that on the show the other day, and they were saying that no wide receiver ever stood up and was consistent to be the go-to guy this year.
Well, that's kind of true, but it's also, I think a lot of it has to do with the passing scheme as well. Like there's a lot of things that goes on in that offense where it's really not meant for one specific receiver, quite honestly, and it's kind of was initially built around the tight ends. That's why you see the tight ends on the Redskins have more success than the wide receivers have for the last few years, quite honestly. And then Crowder went down earlier in the season. I think Crowder was the guy. He's been the guy the last 3 years, the go-to guy. He's led the team in receiving pretty much for the last 3 years. So unfortunately, it was just a mess, quite honestly.
What improvement did you see in Dobson?
Well, I think he gets better with each year. Our biggest thing is just trying to find out a way to keep him healthy. When he's healthy, he plays good. I mean, he makes big-time catches when the opportunity arises. But keeping him on the field and keeping him motivated, I think sometimes, you know, when you lose and when you're down, and then if you ever do listen to the fans, it can take a toll on you. You have to, you know, be that guy who, you know, you can't listen to the fans. You have a bad game. You have to be like a DB. You got to have a short memory, go back and make the next play.
You got to lie to yourself.
Exactly. What you got to do?
Defensive backs, we constantly lie to ourselves. I can give up a pass for 80 yards. I go to the bench and I'm like, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. and you have to have that mentality playing football. So when he was talking about Dotson, the only thing I don't like about Dotson, you should not have to motivate a first-round pick.
Thank you.
When I drafted you, you supposed to be ready today to come in and make plays. And the best ability in football is availability, and that's something that he hasn't been. He hasn't been available, so he hasn't put a whole season together yet.
Yeah, and he has a lot of injury. But what I'd like to see progress more, they had started going to him more as that go-to guy for the big play or the big catch. But then he gets hurt or he disappears.
And he can't finish the catch. The one thing that when he was coming out of college, he had a large catch radius. And he was one of those receivers, he can go one step and he can get vertical on you. Well, in the league, the DBs can also do the same thing. So if I know him and I'm studying him, I'm like, he's a jump ball guy. That means I'm not even finna worry about checking you on dig routes. I'm not finna worry about a post route from you. They just finna try to throw you the ball and see can you out jump me, and that's just not gonna work.
Well, you know, I want to ask you something about the defensive backs. At the end of the season, you've changed. You had a lot of hurt, and then you get rid of your best defensive backs. Tell me what you think about the defensive backfield this year. And just be raw and honest.
I only know how to be 100. This is what I felt. I think what happened with DJ, I don't think that happened that week. I think that started last year and the year before. I think they told DJ, you know, man, don't be airing out
Tell
stuff.
us who DJ is.
DJ Swearinger, a Pro Bowl safety, the best defensive back we had for the Redskins.
Alternate Pro Bowl.
Most definitely, and he made all the plays we needed. But I think the front office and the coaches thought, he's breaking the team apart from the inside out. And one thing we do as a family and as a team, if we're gonna have some family fights, we're gonna keep them in house, and if we need to fix some, we're gonna fix it in house. And I think he went game after game after game saying what he don't like, and so like my daddy told me, it can't be two grown men in the house. You're gonna have to get out.
There you go. We're gonna go and take a question before I get to you. We're gonna take a question from Donna out in the audience. Donna.
Yes, Tony, but first of all, let me just give you a little facts about the Redskins this year. At the 10th week of the season, they were 6-3. The Cowboys and the Eagles were both 4-5. Now, the Redskins in 2018 had 24 players on the IR list. In 2017, they had 27. But I say that because the Eagles had 32 players on IR or injury this year, but guess where they are? In the playoffs and moving on. So I don't want to hear the excuses of the Redskins talking about what injuries that they had, because you should be able to work through those injuries. Now, the major one came with Alex Smith, but beyond that, this team still should have been better than what they were.
Wait a minute, you were studying, Donna, you were studying on the way over here, I know.
No, Tony,
I
was just giving you some key facts about, all I heard at the end of the season from the players is the amount of injuries that they had. And of course, they had a lot of injuries, but teams that win and can win beyond those injuries are in the playoffs right now. Now to the guests.
My name is Ryan. I'm from Eastern Shore, Maryland, and my question is for Tony McGee. My uncle is probably your biggest fan, and he always used to yell out Mac the Sack. My question is, he basically used to tell me all the time that you never missed a game. Now, with a taxing position like DN, how did you manage that?
Well, you know, and that's a very good question because that's one thing. I played for 14 years. I played in 203 out of 204 games. And the bad thing about the game I missed, I didn't have to miss it, but it was a free paycheck and I took the opportunity. And I regret that to this day. But I tried to stay in shape and do everything I could in all season, which I don't think they're doing now, to be able to do that. And I was blessed.
Yeah.
Dexter, you played defensive end. Tell me what you
Tell you about what, man?
how you kept yourself together, how you was able to play as much and as well as you played.
Well, I ran the street, man.
Now you got to be tough in the morning and the nighttime.
That's the other day, right?
I know you did that, but you know, Dexter, you were such a different player. You 6'4" and you run a 4.5 40 and you bench 500 pounds, so you weren't in the street all the time.
Sometimes. No, I tell you what, it's a matter of pride and a gift, a God gift ability, and you just gotta want it. Some guys don't want it. Some guys want it more than the next guy.
Yeah. That's good. That's a very good point. Now, John, you played for 4 different teams. What did you do in the off season? And they're not doing. I know I'm going over my time, Paul, but what did you do in the off season?
Well, my mentality is I wasn't a starter when I came in the league. I was a 10th round draft pick, and I wanted to be that starter. So my mentality was to work extremely hard during the season and prepare myself as a starter. So when I came off the bench and made plays, and during the off season, I said I'm going to pride myself in being the best possible shape I can be in, so I can coach myself. Wouldn't have to have the coaches saying we got to coach him up. So I want to be in position. So like Dexter, we're from Texas, so we believe down south. We love football down there.
We built Ford
They
tough
do
down
kind. They
south.
got Texas is football.
Yeah, we built tough
football
down
state.
south, and that's what
And our
it is.
mentality is like, we want to be the guy.
So now let me ask you this. Donna made a point. Philadelphia had 30 or however many injuries,
Right.
but they were still able to make it to the playoffs. What is the difference you see in this Philadelphia team very quickly, and what do you see the difference in the Redskins and this
Well,
Philadelphia team?
Philadelphia just came up for Super Bowl, right? So they have that Super Bowl mentality,
Yep.
And so they send the next man up. And the coach is still going to coach the way he's going to coach. I don't care if it's a quarterback or the makeshift secondary they had, the guys are playing well now because they see that they still have an opportunity. And that's the mentality that the coaches still had from last year. People like, well, it was a fluke, you won the Super Bowl. Well, they won the Super Bowl, but still they had the mentality, let's repeat. And then those injuries came on, and people like, oh, they're not going to make it. So in-house, the family got together.
I hate to throw salt on Donald's facts, but facts hurt feelings. And here goes the fact of the matter is Nick Foles is their backup. He's
There you
a
go.
glorified starter in this league.
There you go.
He has almost a 700% winning percentage in this league. Not only do they have depth, and they developed that depth while people got hurt last year. That's why Philadelphia did what we couldn't do. And when Alex Smith went down, we didn't have a Nick Foles to put in. We also didn't pick up a Golden Tate in the middle of the year like they did. Instead, we picked up a ha-ha Clint Dixon. I say jokes on us when it comes on that one. So we don't got the group of athletes
I feel that.
you know what I'm saying? So but we're starting to develop that. The Alabama defensive line, I think they're only gonna get better.
Alabama Bucks.
Hey, the linebackers, they only gonna get better. You got young defensive backs, you're gonna have to replace a couple of them. But think about this, 6-3. We beat the team that's in the playoff right now. Dallas, Philadelphia, we can play with those teams. But in football, it's a little luck in there too, and luck just haven't went our way.
And we're going to take a quick break right now, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this. But one thing that these gentlemen just said, you don't keep who you like, you keep who you need. We'll be back in a moment.
Geico makes it so easy to manage my policy. With an app that lets me pay my bill, add a vehicle, or even file a claim, it's not just easy. It's aerobics in a recliner easy.
And plank. Smooth it. Shimmy. And step, step, swivel. Keep it going. Kick, hold. Kick it out, and kick, and kick.
It's not just easy, it's Geico easy.
Feel the bird.
Welcome back to the Eastern Seals headquarters in Silver Spring, Maryland. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Washington Redskins, but first, we'll take a question for someone in the audience.
Yes, Tony, thanks. And Fred, you're exactly right. You didn't give me enough time to talk about the quarterback position, which the Redskins really have not built for the future. They came into this season with 2 quarterbacks and knowing their situation. But the other thing, Tony, I want to mention is that the Redskins are bringing all personnel back. Stephen Underwood here with me right now said that it starts at the top for the team to make some changes before, you look at the winning and the losing and everything. And the Redskins have decided so far not to make any personnel changes. You look at the offense, you had AP, which hopefully they'll bring back, but that offensive line is an area that they need to build with, Tony. But again, he said it, not me, but I agree with him that, they needed to make some changes overall on this team, or we'll be talking about this come next year, the same thing, and the Redskins are not in the playoff. It's a broken ship a little bit, but it still hasn't sailed out to sea yet. Stephen, thank you for serving.
Yes, I'm Stephen Underwood, and I served in the United States Navy. I'm a United States Navy veteran. My question.
All right, give it up.
And so this question is for all the players. What are some of the biggest changes that you noticed in the NFL since playing? And the second part of that question is, are those changes, are they good or are they bad?
Stephen, thank you for that. You hit a very good question for the simple aspect. I'll let these gentlemen speak for themselves. But I feel like when they changed training camp, we used to do 6 weeks or 2-a-days. We used to hit each and every day. And then during the course of the season, if we had a bad game, and we did not run the ball well or stop it, we scrimmage right there. Now they got all these rules where these guys run around in shorts. They don't even put on full uniform. They can only hit 14 times a year. Then when they get out and try to run full speed, they pull hamstring. Am I right, guys?
I agree with you.
I think the rules are terrible. Okay.
You have to build up calories. You have to build toughness. You got to keep pounding on them. And that's what training camp did for us. By the time the season started, the games became easy. Like
exactly.
You said, it's a softer game, but I also understand the cause of why it's softer. They're trying to make the game more safer.
Right.
They got better equipment than we used to have, better helmets than we used to have. So I understand, but it's
and they want receivers to get free too.
The rules are totally different. Right now, receiving is probably because for a long time you would draft a receiver, but you wouldn't expect him to be ready to play for a year or two. Now you can throw him right in there because the game is basically no different than college.
Right. So what do you guys think about the change? And I know I'm joking with you, Gary, but overall, you guys when we had practice, we had scrimmage, you guys were involved with that. That's a toughness thing.
I think a lot. I think culture has a lot to do with things too. I think certain teams have certain cultures, and there should be fear of your head coach somewhere, some way. You should not. You got to have some fear. Don't get me. I was a brass guy, but I still was scared of Joe. At the end of the day, I knew where I could push and I knew where to shut up at. I knew exactly how far I could push and I knew when to be quiet and don't say a word. And I don't see that so much now in the culture. Players tend to come out and do say and do whatever they want to do, like hugging after the game. That just would not.
That's selfies and signing jerseys.
If I won, yes. If I lost, no.
If
I win, I'll go shake your hand. I'll hug you. I'll tell you, you know what? We lucked out. You guys should have beat us. But if I lost,
I can't
saw
do
my
that
teammates
either.
doing that,
But
I'm liable to.
But I'm seeing a lot of teammates now. Like I hang around the Redskins, and they not close like we used to.
No, they're not.
Like we when we was here, we used to run the streets of DC at night together.
You and Dexter?
I wish I could have played with that. But I'm saying we did things together.
Right.
Like once a week, we gonna one of our DBs, we're gonna come to the house, we're gonna watch film, we're gonna have some drinks, we're gonna
Right.
chill. These guys be right beside each other, tweeting each other.
Yeah, that
You know,
is
so
true.
that's
a change in the culture.
I think
like
the
Barry says, the
ultimate
coaches,
team
yeah.
game
Yeah.
is won by the ultimate team. Not the best players, but the ultimate team. And I think that's where Philadelphia got to
yeah,
head up on us.
exactly.
They are a team, and you can tell they're a team.
Yeah.
Talk
Wanna
to
do
me,
stuff
John.
together in the community, like Smoot was saying, and together off the field. You know, may go to dinner together.
Yeah.
And sit aside and do other things together.
Mm-hmm.
But in the locker room, knowing that you got one goal, to bust your butt and get out there and play football to the bitter end, and that's what they do.
And Dexter, you played with me and you played with Gary, and now you're looking at these defensive linemen now. The rules have changed them as well. The defensive linemen don't seem to have a big idea how to rush the pass.
Well, I think they just stick with one thing, just upfield. They have no moves. They don't throw in the counter moves. They just, most of the time, they kind of bull rush it, and they stop their feet when they first make contact.
You're exactly right. 100%. Let's take another question.
Tony, I'm with Queen Jones, and she has an 11-year-old nephew who's a great basketball player. And I told her not to talk to any of you all up there. She's talking to the right person right here.
Yes, I volunteer with the vets group.
She didn't say marbles. She said basketball.
No, she
darling.
said somebody that can put the ball through the hoop. That would be me.
Yes, his name is Wisdom Carter. He loves basketball. We're trying to encourage him as a youth to stay on the right path. And one of my questions about that, let me tell you where I'm coming from. I work with veterans, and thank you all for your service, first of all.
Thank you.
And my manager will be upset at me if I didn't say where I was coming from. It's called the Vets Group. It's a computer school. It's a night class. And so with that, his name is Joe Wynn. He's the director. But what I wanted to ask anybody that what can parents do to encourage youth when they have a desire to play basketball or any kind of sports? What's one of the things you can do for the youth?
That's a good point, because everyone now is saying, and a lot of the people of the day are saying, don't play football, don't do this. I think what you have to do is just like any job that you have. When you're in a job, no matter what it is, your parents, your family, your friends should help encourage you to do the best you can do in it. It doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, if it's just working in the industry, whatever you do. Your parents should encourage you to do it, because we can't tell our children.
Get around it. Like whatever you're trying to do, you got to get around it. If I'm a
Exactly.
basketball player, I need to hang around basketball.
Exactly.
Players. I need to hang around a gym, and that's something that I always did. I fill my time with like-minded people that's trying to get to the same spot I'm trying to get to.
And that passion, like you said, just hang around it, be a part of it. And if you're playing football at a young age and you get hit, you're a kid, you get hit in the gut and you're wheezing and whatnot, you're hurting, and the kid get right back up like we did.
You gotta get up.
And your parents gonna say, oh wow, this kid is really tough, really enjoys the game. So support that, support the kid playing all sports, get a taste of all
And
of it.
in the football thing, you can't let them be afraid of injury too, because if you start looking for injuries, they'll come to
Why are you
you.
afraid of injuries?
Right.
You can walk out your house and die.
Exactly.
Like, nothing's safe about life. Like you can do all the things you want to. I really get mad when people say I ain't gonna let my kid play. Well, what you don't want him tough? You don't want him to be a tough man. You don't want him to learn lessons that I learned through football. And then with football, sometimes what you get is a lot of surrogate brothers, and you get a surrogate dad with that coach. And in the black community, sometimes the father is not there, so that coach becomes
It's very much so.
how you kind of grade yourself and stop you from doing some stuff and keeps you in the right line.
And that's such a true statement. A lot of you guys know about when I went to college. I went to the University of Wyoming, and we had an incident out there with they call it the Wyoming Black 14. Out of everything that happened there, the one thing that hurt us most is our coach. When we went to him to talk about this situation, he told us to go back to our homes and get on colored relief. If you don't know what I mean, get on to another relief. He told us that half of us didn't know who our fathers were. He told us he got me picking up cigarette butts off the street of Battle Creek, and I didn't even smoke. So, when we found out, and you said something very important, those people are very important in your lives, your coaches and everything. And they're the ones, even more than your parents, that get you where you want to get.
And your teammates understand your plight. Your teammates understand exactly what you go through, and that's why a pro locker room is tighter than most locker rooms that you ever, because some stuff you can't even talk to your wife about it. I could turn to the guy next to the locker room, and he totally understands where I'm coming from. You kind of, with fortune and fame, you kind of lose family, you lose friends, and they fill in the gap.
In that locker room, players have been there, done that before, so they've learned from their lessons. they can pass it on, you know.
We're going to take another quick break right now. We have some more questions, but we hope that we are giving you the show that you want to get. We're not talking all about the Redskins and everything. We'll talk about them. We talk playoffs. We talk in life. And some of you veterans out there, we want some of you to tell us your stories too when you get up there. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey, sports fans, two-time Super Bowl champion Gary Clark and Pacific Dental Services have joined up to bring Redskin fans a chance to win free NFL Legend experiences. Go to www.garyclarkinc.com/fans to register for a chance to win. Good luck.
It is through our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light again. I would love for you to pick up my book, Getting to the Other Side of Victory. If not for yourself, a loved one, or a friend, pick it up for someone that's going through a tough time. You can purchase it on both Amazon and Barnes & Noble in both paperback or ebook. For my autographed copy, go to my website at www.donnajhopkins.com and help someone get to the other side of victory.
Welcome back, and as you can hear, we have a great fan base here. Some individuals, they work for the veterans, but they're in all walks of life. What's important is this is just not a football show. We're talking life here. We're going to talk football. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk life. With that being said, let's take a question from Donna. Hope she doesn't talk too much because we already busted her with the Eagle stuff. So, and her phone went off. That was her phone, fans. Donna, give us a question.
Somebody was calling in, Tony, giving me the scoop. You know how I always find out those things that they won't talk to you all about. But I'm so honored to be standing right here beside another person who has served, and he has a hard question for you all. One of them also is that what would you do as far as the Redskins management? Do they need to bring in an offensive coordinator? You know, when you all played with Coach Gibbs, you did do that, and he saw fit to bring in various coaches, you know, in his first few years there. Do the Redskins need to do the same thing since they're not changing management? That's one question, but I'm going to let him ask the second question.
Yeah, my name is Guy Will Nelson Pele. I'm a veteran from the U.S. Army. And my question is, when you was a Pro Bowl in 86 and you score 18.5 on the circuit, I want to know what is the difference between that season and the other season?
Well, you know, you said the difference between the seasons, or the play, or what?
86,
yeah,
year
right.
86 when you played in 86.
I didn't play in 86. That's why.
Dexter.
Oh, Dexter.
He's talking about Dexter.
You know why I didn't answer that question? Because I was retired in 86. So that was kind of a hard one.
And that was 7. He was basically asking, I guess 86 was one of your better seasons. What made that season different than the rest of them?
So were you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He's talking to you.
Yeah,
Dexter.
Dexter.
Gotta let you know. Come on, Dexter. Now, that'd have been a quarterback sack. He wouldn't have never got to get it.
Well, I tell you what, I was in a contract dispute with the Redskins, and what I did was I went to George Mason a lot. I worked out. I worked on different explosive drills, and by the time we played the Philadelphia Eagles, was our opening game against the Eagles in '86. I had fresh legs, and I just wanted to get to the quarterback because we have a history like me. They don't want to give you the money, so I had to go out and prove it to them that what I could do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that I was second in the league in sacks, but because
the money made you do it.
Yeah, the money, the money. I had good incentives. Yeah.
And you know what? He must have got the money because he was speaking to me the year before, and he didn't speak to me after that. So I don't know. We got another question.
Hey, yeah, Tony, I've got Dave here.
Hello, how y'all doing today?
Good. You.
My name is David Wetter. I served 5 years in the United States Army, and I have a couple of questions. First of all, I love my Redskins. Yes.
He's still a Redskins
wait a minute,
fan.
y'all can do him better than
that. Yeah, y'all can do better than that.
We ain't in the playoffs, son.
One of my questions is for Mr. Dexter Manley. My pastor, George Hawkins III from High Calling Ministries, he loved the Redskins, and also my minister, Lionel Carr. He asked me not to leave here unless Dexter Manley signed this jersey. You gotta do it.
That's the name of the Lord.
And I brought it with me. But the other thing I have for Mr. Manley, I was upset when I love my Redskins, but I was upset when I saw somebody else with number 72 on the other day. And I thought your jersey was retired, but I was told otherwise. And I wonder why your jersey is not retired, because you definitely deserve it.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to turn that question to Gary Clark. He's more close to the front office at the Redskins than anyone.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you know, I answered part of that question because, you know, that happened. A lot of you may not know Bobby Mitchell.
Yes.
Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yeah.
First African-American on this team.
Ever.
And I know a few years ago, I don't know about how many it was, but they gave his jersey out. And the fans made him take it back in because that wasn't right. As far as Dexter and the rest of the guys, you know, they give these jerseys, and this is just my opinion. I'm asking you guys now. It always seemed like to me, I know when I left, they went and got a defensive lineman that looked similar to me and gave him 78.
Yeah.
So they know the fans look at the numbers a lot of times. So it looked like Dexter's still out there in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I can see what you're selling, but at the end of the day, I just think the jerseys like this shouldn't be played
Exactly.
anymore. And we got a couple numbers. 28, it's a lot of numbers with people at 21. It's a lot of numbers that shouldn't ever be played in again. But at one point, we're going to run out of numbers.
That's what's happening. That may be what's happening.
It's going to be another 72. It might not be Dexter Manley Jr., but it's going to be another 72.
And you know, it's funny, every time I see those out there, you guys are the ones I think about when I see the numbers, not the players out there. Like I be going back, see, I was in there so long ago, I be going back and a guy run out with 51 on, you don't even know who he is. I be thinking about Dick Buckus.
Hey, I totally understand.
You know, my rookie year with the New York Jets, they gave me number 42. I'm like, 42, that's Ronnie Lott's number. So
right, exactly.
Yeah. When you think about those numbers you get, then afterwards.
People forgot I even wore 21. I wore 21. I wore 21 first, and I gave 21 to Sean, but I put on 27. I don't see people wearing 27. They might like me a little bit more, Dex.
We're going to take another question now.
Well, Tony, you know, my number was number 20 at Fairmont State University. It's been retired. No, I'm just kidding.
You had to score points before they retire him, Donna.
But you don't know, Tony, I'm in the books.
Uh-oh.
Rosemary.
We're going to call out.
Can we Google her?
Hi,
Yeah,
Pam.
we're going to Google
My
that.
name is Rosemary Holmes, and I have two questions to ask regarding the Redskins. My first question goes to Mr. McGee. Okay, Mr. McGee, what is your most memorable moment of the Super Bowl game in 1983 against the Dolphins?
The most memorable moment for me then was really two. One was because Riggins had scored, but not after Riggins scored, but before Riggins scored, and they were down on we were down on about the 3-yard line or something, and Joe Theismann was throwing a pass, and the big linebacker hit it, and he was about to take it and go in there. Hey, if they'd done that, they'd have been ahead of us like 24 or about 15 or 20 points. And Joe knocked that down. That was a big, big play. And then Riggins ran. the touchdown. The other big play was this. It was personal. Riggin had just run the touchdown, and I guess you call field goal team was supposed to be out there, and George Stark was the tackle on that team, and he was back on the sideline celebrating. So I ran out and played tackle, so I got to play both ways in the Super Bowl.
You ain't played offense and defense.
Yeah, I played offense and defense.
Hey, Tony, she has a second part of her
Okay.
question also.
Okay, my next question goes to Dexter Manley, defensive end, nicknamed Secretary of Defense. What is the secret to a Super Bowl winning defense?
Super Bowl winning defense, blitz.
Thank you.
Get to the quarterback.
Blitz.
And you know, Dexter, I'm going to go further on that. You know, we called you Mr. D. I don't know where you got, I know you the Secretary of Defense and everything, but one thing that was important, they used to say that every sack was worth 3 points. You lead the Redskins in those sacks.
Thank you.
So you got to give yourself credit, because to me, sacks changed the game. No matter, you just think about some of the games that's played this weekend, where like in Baltimore, where they gave up 7 sacks on a boy that's mobile.
Well, see, quarterbacks, they can complete every pass in the world when they're comfortable. But when they're uncomfortable is when they start to make mistakes. They don't, like I was always told, if you looking a quarterback in the eye, he probably gonna complete a pass on you. When he's throwing uncomfortable, he throwing off his back foot, or he letting it go before he want to, because the big boys that got there, now we can make plays in the back end.
Well, let's start
You want
talking.
to get them happy feet.
That's what you want. That's like,
Big guys up front doing
that's
that.
right, and that's what this guy used to do all the time. The only thing about Dexter, once he got his sack, then he was laughing and playing, just like that. Before we take another question, let's talk a little bit more about this. What did you think about the pass rush for the Washington Redskins this year? Now, you had the player of the year, Jonathan Allen, who I think was great. He's defensive tackle. He had 8 sacks. You know how great that is. When we played, Dave Butts had 10 one year, and he went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
So I tell you how good that is.
Was it 10 or 11?
He had 11, you had 10 and a half, and I had 10.
Yeah. I don't think I ever hardly had 10 sacks.
Yeah, you had 10 and a half.
Yeah, not with you guys.
Well, we let you have them that year. We gave them to you that year. But what do you think about the Redskins pass rush?
I think there was sometimes they were more consistent than inconsistent. Yeah. I felt like if the front seven can get pressure on the quarterback, they'll be in the playoffs now. But because they wasn't dominant in rushing the passer, that's probably why they're sitting at home.
Okay, we're going to have to pick. We're running out of time. I'm going to get that question when we come back. Take a break right now. When we come back, we'll talk a little playoffs now, because this is playoff season. We'll be back in a moment.
Once I started looking for car insurance, it was a no-brainer. I switched to Geico and saved hundreds. That's a win. But it's not the only reason I switched. The Geico app makes it easy to manage my policy. I can pay my bill, add a new driver, or even file a claim. Woo! Hey now, that's a win-win. Thank you.
Switch to Geico. It's a win-win.
You know, we're going to come back and we're going to talk, take a few more questions, but we first have to talk about the Washington Redskins. A young lady asked earlier in the show, do we think that they should make some personnel changes in the front office as well as players? As well as players, yes. In the front office, I don't know a lot about that, but usually when you have an organization that you haven't really reach your goals, you have to make changes. I was looking at down in Atlanta the other day, they fired the coordinators and the special teams coach. Now, why they fired the special teams coach, I don't know. Somebody got to pay. So what do you guys think about the Washington Redskins situation?
Well, my grandma always told me a fish rots from the head down. All right, so if you go into something that stink, you need to start at the top. And I think you got to hold Bruce Allen accountable. You got to hold everybody accountable, start from the top down, and this when you can get to the level of a Philadelphia. You can get to the level where the Cowboys at right now. It's a lot of personnel things on this team need to be answered, but it also needs to be a clear person that you can go to and say, this is the person running things. We don't have that. It's a blur. Some people say it's Bruce Allen. Some people say it's Doug. We don't have a clear, defined leader of the front office right now, and I think we're paying the price for that.
Well, from my understanding, for Washington Redskins in the past, Mr. Snyder, would open up his checkbook and get players in here.
He's been trying to do everything, buy a team, whatever it takes.
Yeah. So, but again, finding the right people and putting the right decision makers in place, and at the end of the day, when you draft somebody, that player got to want to be that professional that he wants to be.
But G, let me ask you this. We have to look at the injury somewhat. So let's take a second and say, if they didn't have this injury, they were playing pretty good in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel.
We can't use it as an excuse, but
I'm just not a big fan of injury because just the way I feel about the next player up. The person who's playing behind me should be a player who's just as good as me or better.
Yeah.
And I should be willing to make sure that I'm not going to lose my job. I'm going to take my game up another level because I see that. Perfect example, Ricky Sanders comes into town. Me and Art here. We both look at Ricky, and we both sit there and look at one another and be like, this boy can play. I mean, this boy can do everything. He can do everything that we both can do. And sometimes he can do it better. Yeah. So I was like, oh, no. I'm going to take my game up. Yeah. So I'm going to dig down, and I'm going to take my game up to another level. The injury thing, I don't buy into it.
You know, you may have did the right thing because I come in, they tell me to work with Dexter Manley, and then they bring Charles Mann in, tell me to work with him, and both of them got so good they cut me.
That's how
let me tell you this quick before we take a question. You talk about Coach Gibbs, how convincing he is. I never got cut the whole time I was in the league, but he brought me into the office after I had knee operation. I had played 14 years. He said, well, Tony, I know you only want to play one more year, and you know how important you are to the team. And if I bring you to camp and cut you, it's going to devastate the team. And then he almost did a little crying thing. I said, I cut myself, Coach. I said, he got me. I cut myself on them. But he was very convincing, and he knew how to use his players. And as far as telling new players coming in, you're exactly right. You can't use injury. And like I said in the beginning of the show, you got to keep the people that you need, not who you like.
Remember, Tony, okay, we win Super Bowl 22. Next Super Bowl we win is Super Bowl 26. The guy on the sideline holding the clipboard is Mark Rippon. Yeah. That's how deep we are.
That's exactly right.
But that's how deep we are. At the end of the day, it should never, ever be, if I come in, I'm a professional football player. You pay me to come in to play. You pay me to come in and do a job. I'm going to come in and do my job better than whoever was. If I get my chance, boy didn't get his job back.
There you go.
It wasn't because of the injury, but he didn't get his job back.
That's what D. Green told me when I first got here as a rookie. I said, how you play so long? He said, by not letting the guy behind me play.
Yeah.
Why do y'all
It's
think?
simple as that.
That's right. That's why I played 203 out of 204 because I wasn't giving my job
I
up.
play with a fractured sternum. I don't care.
That's what I'm talking about.
You need your back up here. No.
Why am I going to give him a chance? Why am I even going to give him the chance to play?
I'm not.
And as a backup, you have that mentality. Say, if you don't want me in a game, if you ever give me that opportunity,
I'm going to take
seize
it.
the moment.
I'm going to take it. Let's take another question.
Thanks, Tony. Think about those winning teams. As Gary talked about depth during the course of the end of the season for the Redskins, they were bringing in players that never should be in the NFL right now. But Nico, for your question.
Sure. Hi, my name is Nicole Grainer. I'm representing Cornerstone Montgomery. We do behavioral health, mental health, and substance abuse services in Montgomery County, Maryland. And my question is for Gary Clark. Gary, of the 4 Pro Bowls that you played in, which was your favorite to play in and why?
Oh, wow. I think probably the first one, and just mainly because I was excited to become a Pro Bowl player. It was my second year in the league. I was I was just excited to come meet all these other players that I had played and saw on other teams. I had a chance to meet Jerry Rice. I had a chance to meet Anthony Carter. I'm meeting all these guys that, you know, I look at as a player and I'd be like, that's who I'm comparing I should say contrasting myself to. Not really comparing, contrasting myself to, and seeing, quite honestly, what I can steal from them to help my game become better. So I guess the first Pro Bowl was probably my favorite one.
And you know, you just said something that is very relevant, because when I came in, I was looking at the Deacon Jones, the Claude Humphreys, all the great pass rushers, and I tried to get something from each of them. Look to me, only to me, that these young people coming now feel like they better than the older players already.
They're not as studious as we were.
Exactly.
Like, well, now you got to realize, millennials, I'm Generation X, and the thing, you're gonna be a cosmocasm of what you grow up around. And now these kids got ADHD. They do like 5 things at a time. They're not focused on one thing, and that's why, like I said, they're not as close as we are, because they got so much other stuff going on.
And I think organizations should bring in the veterans, the legends, to talk to the young players. You know, get them to pick their brains
and coach them.
Yeah, and coach them up.
The coaching part too, because a veteran guy, first of all, I'm not going to take any junk from a young guy who's just coming up from college, or from a player that I know skill-wise what level you're at.
Yeah.
You know, like Fred said, it's a receiver's dream right now.
Yeah.
So you should be dominating. That's why they're catching 110, 120 catches a year.
You weren't going to do it when
know,
Gary played.
I'm going to have to take a question. Let's take a question from the audience.
Yeah, Tony, I mean, we've got a lot of great veterans here today in the audience with some great questions for you all. I've got Candace right now.
Good afternoon. My name is Candace Lipscomb. I'm an Army veteran. My question is for Mr. Booty. What is your prediction for the Washington Redskins next year?
Well, predictions for them, I think it's going to be a challenging year.
Remember, John, you're a preacher's son. So remember.
Don't throw the Eagles hate.
Hey, can we get a Bible over here? We want the truth.
No, I predict that they're going to do. It's going to be tough for the Washington Redskins next year, because the quarterback situation will be tough. I don't think they're going to have enough money to go out and get they can't get a Nick Foles to come in. Not the Eagles send the Eagles, but
you can think about it. He gonna want to leave.
But still, the salary cap for them.
31 million. Yeah, we got 31 million for Alex. Alex not playing next year. I'm here to tell you that injury. He's not playing next year. Now we can trade for a Jacoby Brissett, the Colts backup quarterback. We can trade for a Teddy Bridgewater. But other than that, we're gonna have to draft a guy.
Exactly.
Making what, $30 or $40 million?
Yeah.
Counting against the cap. So you got to get some younger players in here. I don't see them doing as well next year. I'm not gonna give a number.
Better than Booty. He's an Eagle. You can't ask an Eagle that question.
But even if it's a younger player, that's not an excuse not to be great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you get a lot of rookies who come in and they play great.
Let me share this with you. So the Eagles had a lot of throwing in the Eagles.
Hold this thought, guys. Hold this thought. Hold that right there. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll let the Eagle finish talking. We'll be back in a moment.
You okay there, Kurt?
We're about to move.
Karate helps relieve some of the house buying stress.
At least you don't have to worry about homeowners insurance. Call Geico.
Geico helps with homeowners insurance?
Been doing it for years.
I'm calling Geico right now.
Good idea.
Get to know Geico and see how easy homeowners and renters insurance can be.
Welcome to the Sports Bar Challenge, and this week we're here to announce the winner. That honor goes to Greavy's Restaurant, so congratulations to them. But a big thank you goes out to Fairfax Hard Times, Crystal City Restaurant, Crystal City Sports Pub, Nando's Peri Peri Chicken, and Harry's Ale House in Fredericksburg. Thank you, and have a great year.
Let's find out what's bugging this NFL fan.
Hi, I'm Samantha. What's bugging me is we have 2 teams in New York and neither one made the playoffs. That's what's bugging me.
Well, you know, I look on the sheet. We got to talk a little playoff, but before we do that, let's get a couple more questions because we're about to close this bad boy out, and we want as many questions as we can get. Donna?
Hey, Tony, thanks. I'm with Al, and he wants to know, what is the NFL and the Washington Redskins, his daughter is a gymnast, doing for the female athlete? And I know that Gary does a lot for men, the male and the females.
Well, Gary, can you answer that question? Because I really don't know what they're doing for the young athlete, but I know they do bring them in. You guys run camps.
We do camps. We do camps every year. The Redskins are really supportive for supporting youth and supporting the fight to end childhood obesity. They do a great job for men and young men and young women.
I'm glad you brought that point up because I was going to say I don't think they decipher if it's a man or a woman. It's children. I think that's a great thing.
But they also doing a lot more for the females when it comes to the sports broadcasting and stuff like that. So and the other business aspects of the
and
NFL.
Women of Washington, they have WOW.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. All right. Are we ready for another question? Donna, I think she's getting hooked up over here. While she's getting hooked up, I do want to say this. I know what you guys, and I see all of y'all doing things in the community, and I don't get a chance to say it, but all of you doing great things, and I think that I look at Facebook every now and then, but you guys doing it.
I thought you was on MySpace.
I am. Let's go to this MySpace, Donna's space.
He's on no space, Fred.
He's on no space.
Hi, my name is Haywood Thomas, and I want to ask you guys, what are you guys doing for veterans? I know Doug Williams, he works with the Paralyzed Golf Association. The Wizards sponsors like a luncheon and a day with the Wizards on Veterans Day. So what are the Redskins doing?
I do everything for the veterans and the homeless. Is my 2 things that I really tackle and go after. I do a lot of work with the Wounded Warriors, and with this being Washington, D.C., it's, massive amounts of veterans around here, so it makes it easy access for us to get to them. So I think it's something that all of us kind of take to, no matter how old or how young we are.
That's how this show, this part of the show got started. We started a couple of years ago, matter of fact, right here at Eastern Seal headquarters, and now we try to do 2 to 3 of these a year. And what they're doing, we try to help the veterans to find jobs and help the employers to find employees. And we'll do more than that. We're growing as we grow. This is about our 5th or 6th one, and next year we hope to do at least 4 or 5 of these. Now, finish your thought.
My thought was earlier was, looking at the Eagles secondary, they was putting a lot of players out there, and all about being veterans and having those veterans in the locker room, bring those guys together, and they gelling at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about as athletes, get that team effort. And having a veteran in the locker room that put their foot down and say, listen, guys, let's play football as a team, as a unit, and we want to make the plays.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this here. T.J. Swearinger was a veteran.
Yeah.
What happened there?
That's a good question.
He talked his way off of this roster. Like, he didn't play his way off of this roster. Right. He talked his way off of this roster. And sometimes you can get the feeling yourself, and I think that's what happened with DJ.
I'm glad you said that.
And he was that out of your 3 children, he that bad when they like to talk back a little bit.
And I've learned early on, I said, a veteran told me, he said, John, you got to realize you're not bigger than the NFL, and you're not bigger than that individual team.
There you go. Yeah. Right. Now let's talk about the NFL, and let's start with Philadelphia. They got a tough game. They're going down to New Orleans.
Easy, yeah.
And New Orleans has played well, but they are vulnerable because you can see in that Sunday game that Philadelphia now is coming together as a team, and Foles seem to be the difference. What do you see with that game?
Well, I'm going to ride the Foles train, but I'm going to look at the Eagles' defense. Last time they played down in New Orleans, they got embarrassed.
Yeah.
So they got that memory in their mindset.
Secondary was beat up, though, at the time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So they're going to go out. They're going to go down and play. They can play on the road. Yeah. They beat L.A. and they beat the Bears on the road. So.
You're feeling good about it.
I'm feeling good about it.
Everybody in there at Kansas City? Now, everyone's talking about the phenom that they have at quarterback in Kansas City, but at the same time, if you watch it in their game, they've had 2 or 3 games where they've had 40 put on them.
Andrew Luck is when they came in here and beat us, everybody was like, we supposed to beat them. I was like, no, we wasn't. First of all, Andrew Luck is back playing at a grade A level.
Yes, he is.
That defense on that team is they underestimated. Everybody underestimated. I promise you, if you don't beat the coach this year, they got $100 million of cap room. They got nothing but draft picks, and they got a top-tier quarterback. If you don't beat the coach this year, you won't beat them in the next 5 years.
Okay, Donna, I'm going to come out there in the audience to you if we still got a camera on you, and I want you to tell me a little bit about Dallas and the Los Angeles Rams.
Well, you know, the thing about Dallas, Tony, they are playing well right now. You think they've got the running game. Dak is playing well. Their defense is the key thing. You said the defense wins championship. Dallas's defense is playing well. But the Los Angeles Rams, they had a week off, and they're stronger now, healthier now, so they can score.
All right, last but not least, we're looking at the Chargers at New England. I waited to ask one man about this. You don't bet against who?
Brady.
What do you think about that game? Talk to me, G. We got a few minutes. Talk to me.
Well, I said, mine sums it up very quickly. You don't bet against Brady.
I think the end of the road is here.
I do too.
And I think Phillip Rivers is in that same situation that John Elway and Peyton Manning was in. When you're back against the wall and you have put all these years in at quarterback and you're missing only one thing, and that's a ring.
Now listen, also you look at last week, you know, the San Diego Chargers defense coordinator put a good plan together against that young quarterback. Had three
Lamar
safeties
Jackson,
in that playing linebacker.
Took all the linebackers out.
But I'm just saying, they're going to put up a scheme against Tom Brady.
But think about this, guys. What you're not looking at, and he just said it, they are the best balanced team in the playoffs. Nobody's talking about it. I'm talking about the Chargers.
Bosa,
now,
Ingram.
Gary Clark is showing his ring up there, and he talking
they
about.
got 5.
I knew you were talking about 5, but you know I was going to talk
at
about
the end of the year.
Yeah.
This ain't their year. This is the worst New England team they've had in the last decade.
And they've been lucky 2 of those 5.
And what happens when you typically doubt them?
Yeah, don't brag against Brady.
It's like, you know, it's like Atlanta when, you know, Atlanta, everybody was like bragging for 3 quarters.
Yeah. Well, last year in the Super Bowl, they doubted what the Eagles said.
Hey,
And we both
do you
know
see
they don't
what's
get that
happening
sack,
here?
the Eagles
Gary
lose.
Clark,
We're going to play the if game here.
They don't get that
If
sack.
I was 3 inches tall, I'd have been playing for
You
the
know
Wizards.
what? That's why the team effort.
You know what? Gary
Super
Clark,
Bowl.
Gary Clark didn't say anything that we bet against Brady, but you know what? It's over, my man. It's over. Now, tell me this. We got about 1 minute left. Out of all the teams, let's say you even add New England, who do you guys think will be in the Super Bowl?
I say the Rams and the Chiefs.
I say the Cowboys. I hate to say it. The Cowboys and the Chargers.
I'm going to say the Eagles and the Chargers.
I think we can have a repeat.
I like the Rams
From last
and the
year.
Chargers.
New England Eagles?
I like the Rams and the Chargers.
The Rams don't play no defense.
They play.
No, they don't.
And see,
one person plays. They D-line.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, guys, what I got to look at, they say and wrap it up. And I just want to, before we wrap it up, we have a few minutes. I want to thank you guys for having us here at the Eastern Seal headquarters. Thank you, Geico, for sponsoring this. And thank you, veterans, for your service and all you've done for us. And we thank you, fans. We thank you, fans, for watching. Next week, we'll be at the Children's Hospital. That's going to be an interesting show. And as I said, I'm not going to tell you goodbye. I'm going to say in a minute.
E&M Technologies, a women-owned small business, is at the forefront of providing the government and Department of Defense with cybersecurity, systems engineering, biometrics, intelligence, and training services. Our experienced professionals ensure the security, availability, and reliability of information for informed decision-making. E&M Technologies is a mission-first, people-always-focused organization with over 70% veterans and military family members. Our innovative technologies for identity, intelligence, and public safety provide customers with solutions for the challenges of today and the future. Visit us at enmtech.com.
I'm at the swing joint telling people that Geico's been offering savings for over 75 years. That's longer than the buffalo wing's been around.
Dozen wings.
And did you know that Geico offers motorcycle insurance? Oh, my lips are burning. No, my lips are actually burning.
Geico. Over 75 years of savings and service. See how much you could save at geico.com.
It's too hot. Oh, this is too hot, mate.